This is the Breathe with Bri Podcast. Peace, everyone. Welcome back to the Breathe with Bri Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about ways to release stored emotions. I believe that everyone has the power to heal themselves and to use their own wisdom and use their own intuition and use their own body awareness and knowledge to help their body do the things that they desire to do. Just like flexibility is a skill, even though some people are born very flexible, nonetheless, some people train hard enough and they become flexible. So similar with your emotions and things like that, while therapy is obviously a wonderful tool to talk about trauma and things like that, not everyone has access to that. And not everyone has $100 to $350 to pay per session just to go over an hour of conversation per week. To me, that strategy just seems so fucking slow. Like, who has time for that? Like, I've been alive for 32 years, so that means I might have somewhere around at least 30 years of trauma. Why the hell would I be taking my time to fucking an hour a week off 30 years of trauma? That doesn't make any sense. And people are older. So, like, I'm not saying therapy doesn't work at all, but I'm saying that there needs to be so many other practices at play as you're trying to heal yourself for it to, like, actually work. Because if you're just waiting on therapy and your hour-long session a week, baby, you're going to be waiting forever. And we ain't got forever right now, so let's speed it up. So I will break it to you like this. We're going to talk about astrology for a minute. So if you're an earth sign, first of all, I kind of doubt you'd be listening to this podcast. But if you're an earth sign, okay, you might not even feel like you got stored emotions, probably. You probably have no clue that besides the emotions you're aware of, you have other emotions. Those emotions are probably deeply trapped in your system because you just don't feel comfortable expressing emotions. You don't feel comfortable letting yourself feel your emotions, and you usually don't acknowledge your emotions. That's just what I've noticed about earth signs, because you're all about practicality, logistics, and, you know, working, things like that. And emotions probably seem very counterproductive to you and just seems like a symptom of the human body. So for y'all need to listen up. If you're an air sign, obviously we know Aquariuses tend to be lacking emotion. I don't think that's true at all. They just, once again, are kind of more of the earth air. So their emotions will not be easily accessible, and they probably trick themselves into believing they have no emotions. As well as other earth signs, we like to talk, so I'm sure we can talk about our emotions all day, but are you really feeling them, or are you just telling everybody about them? Figure it out. Water signs, we know y'all have emotions. We got it. Y'all know, and y'all feel them. We get it. I mean, fire signs, y'all got emotions too, and y'all let it out on everyone. So it's specifically for the fire signs. How about we acknowledge our emotions this year and, like, release them before we release them on other people? And I'm honestly talking to myself, because I've watched myself release emotions and anger that was meant for somebody else onto somebody else. So I don't want to keep doing that. So let's talk about how to release our emotions. With that quick rundown, if you know your sign or how dominant your chart is, you can, get that information. Otherwise, like, obviously there's societal trauma, environmental trauma, generational trauma, and your own personal traumas, as well as so many other types of traumas. So you have a lot of emotions probably stored in your body, unless you're a body worker or unless you're somebody who already dabbles in those types of modalities that helps you release them. Reasons to help you release your emotions, because usually stored emotions and stored trauma turns into physical symptoms. And also sometimes you can help your physical symptoms by looking at the more emotional realm or looking at the more spiritual realm of what that can mean. Even with astrology, you can look up medical astrology essentially, and it'll tell you which signs usually struggle with which problems, or if you even look at the houses, you can determine what issues you might actually have, and you can really look at it that way. So pretty much, just in case you're unaware of how life works, we kind of experience things and then we feel it. So we either subconsciously feel it, or maybe we deny ourselves access to feel it. Maybe we judge ourselves way too much to allow ourselves to even feel anything. Maybe you, in your childhood, emotions were not taken lightly. Maybe you got whooped every time you cried. Maybe you were told that you were less of a masculine person for crying or for showing any kind of emotion or for talking about your emotions. Maybe you're a woman who was told you were too loud and too fussy and too moody. I was definitely somebody who was told, you're too moody. In this age, we want to move through this because we don't want to stay stuck on old shit, and we want to release the old stuff so we can make room for the new. Obviously, I'm a breath worker, so breathwork is definitely an amazing, and it has been like my supercharged, way of releasing emotions. From my experience of my style of breathwork, which is somatic breathwork, it's because we don't breathe, okay? Like, I don't even think I'm breathing correctly right now. But then again, I think we've been through, what are we on? The 10th season of COVID? Who knows? There's so many different illnesses and sicknesses in the air. Like, we're not breathing. And also, one thing you can do is look at when you're stressed, or look at when you're scrolling your phone and you scroll past something that's triggering. What do? Do you tighten your breath? Look at the times where you have a big emotion that wants to come up and come out, and how do you stop yourself from feeling that? You hold your breath usually. That's what I noticed with myself, and it barely works for me, but it works for a lot of people. So by restricting our breath, oftentimes we teach ourselves that we can just restrict emotions and restrict how we feel and hold it all in, when really it's not meant to be held in. So this might be a quick podcast, but I'm going to just list off some ways. So with breath work, I do a conscious breath, a connected breath, and some other breaths. You know what I'm saying? The gist is, if you just breathe intentionally and relax your fucking body for 30 minutes, something's going to come up. You're going to release some things. I know it seems so simple. Like, it just seems so simple to work, but no, when you just make space and you just breathe and you just relax your muscles, because we hold our anger and our frustration and all those things in our muscles as well, especially if you're like a masculine person and you were taught to like work out to just get past whatever mental loops. We store those things in our muscles and our body. So by doing breath work, and I usually tell people to like surrender to everything, or like release your muscles, or like let honey melt all over you. How would that feel? Like, how can you relax each and every muscle in your body for just like a period of time? You will be surprised what that will do for you, because most people aren't relaxed. Most people, like, they just don't know how to relax. Like, even if you're trying to sit down and not do anything, how are your muscles? How are your shoulders? How's your back? Like, are you still restricting your breath? You know what I'm saying? Other things that really worked for me recently is tapping. I also talk about tapping usually in my breath work. I usually say tap the heart space, you could tap your head, you could tap your cheekbones, your jawbone, you could tap your rib cage. And recently I have found such a wonderful therapist on YouTube, and her name is Raquel McLeod, and she's out in Oregon, and she talks about tapping, and she talks about like releasing scarcity and depression and things like that. How she navigates it is she like tells you to think about it and then tap as you're thinking about it. How I've practiced this is, if I'm triggered and I have some time and some space, because it's just like I'm in my personal space and I'm triggered, I'll just tap my heart space, start tapping right above my eyebrows, tapping the bottoms of my hands, all over my hands, and tapping different areas for like at least 5 minutes. And that has helped me tremendously. I also listen to binaural beats. It's something I'll always talk about, and I don't think people will ever truly understand like how amazing binaural beats are for deprogramming. I know like the quickest, easiest way is to get on YouTube and like look it up. And that is nice for beginners, but there's an app called Beatfulness. No one fucking talks about this. It is an amazing app. They have all types of binaural beats and they're actually like a great quality, not like YouTube quality. And you put in your headphones, or I usually play them on a speaker at night because that's when, you go into dream space and your subconscious is easily suggestible, so they say. Other ways of releasing emotions. One thing that I think people kind of joke about a lot is like when you have a little mental breakdown, i.e. like when you just have a little cry, but then all of a sudden you start like twerking afterwards or dancing right afterwards or listening to your favorite song and shaking it off. That is an amazing way to move energy. It makes sense. That's why you're being told to do it. It's not that you're weird or that you're bipolar or something like that. No, you've just cried it out and now you're moving it from your body as you dance after you cry. It is one of my most amazing ways to get over things. I've technically been doing it since childhood, so I'm a pro. Is stretching. Like obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, you must have done yoga at some point in your life. And obviously, that's a good way to release emotions. And when you start to do yoga like daily and things like that, that's when you really start to release things. And I guess that's the main part. Like none of these actions are like you do it once and you're happy for the rest of your life. And I think we need to stop looking at like self-care and meditation and wellness approaches as something that's just going to make you happy for the rest of your life. And if anyone's telling you that, oh, I do yoga every day and now I'm happy for the rest of my life, please run, because they're probably just trying to sell you something. I think wellness is just like a great way to deal with life. Like clearly we're living through historical times. So yeah, let's move on to other things. I don't know who hasn't heard of writing, but just in case you haven't heard of it and you think it's like a childish thing to have a diary or something like that, I think writing out your emotions is fucking amazing. But I think the most serious part and serious aspect of it is like being very honest about how you feel. Like if you're too afraid to be honest with yourself because you think somebody's going to find your journal and things like that, then you're not really getting the full value of writing down how you feel. I think something that is often looked over as well is just playful activity or childhood things that you used to love and you used to do. It's always a great way to release stored emotion because once again, you're like moving and then you're moving in a way that's joyful. So that's usually nice, like jumping on the trampoline, swimming, playing basketball, doing your favorite childhood activities. It could be painting, playing outside in the grass, gardening, doing peaceful activities is also nice. Also, one thing to note is like sometimes we do these practices and you feel like nothing happened. And I think especially in this age of just like instant gratification or things happening quickly, or like you want a pill that makes you happy right now and just fixes all your life's problems. Sometimes you just do these things until they actually work. And actually, I kind of want to get into another topic, which is depression. Something that I've come across so many times in my life. But the things that usually help me out of my depression, at this point, I have a list of things to help me out of my depression, or at least like to just do regular things, because depression is a spectrum and it affects people differently, and some people are obviously way more high performing even though they're depressed. But for the people who get kind of like crippling depression where you like don't even get out of bed for 3 days, like lists are great. You put a list on the wall and you say the simplest things: brush your teeth, take a shower, go for a walk, and just do it. And obviously it's not going to be the greatest feeling in the world, but what you have to understand is that it's going to equal, you're going to get better, over time. So like just doing these actions will help you get better over time, especially once again, if you're a type of person who gets like crippling depression, like going for a walk every day, at least you're moving your body, at least you're stretching. Like one thing that has consistently helped me out of my wintertime depressions is like painting and stretching daily. And singing. Singing is like a childhood thing that I just love to do. And singing is something that like, especially for anyone else who's like trying to work through throat chakra things, or you've been told that you're shy or timid or you're not communicating correctly, but like you communicate with other people so great and you're wondering why certain people told you couldn't. Singing is a great way, and it's not about like it's not about like having a good voice. It's just about like that freedom. Like sometimes I go and sing in the woods as loud as I can because there's nobody there, and like the spirits love it. If you're in other ways of releasing stored emotions, I would just say like if you've never done these type of activities before, I would say you would definitely need to just kind of be with your body for a period of time, because that's what I think strengthens your intuition. Like as a person who's finally like, oh, wow, would you look at that? Like I've been intuitive and psychic this whole time, but I thought because of these XYZ experiences that my intuition wasn't valid. You just got to get in touch with yourself again. You got to learn how to trust yourself again. You have to build that relationship with your body again, understanding your body's yeses and nos and why it may say yes or no. And is it a trauma response? And understanding the difference between that is very helpful. Also, self-massages is something I always say, but I don't think people hear me. We're so disconnected from our bodies, and it's so weird because it's like, it's your body. I don't know if it's just because I had a dance class teacher when I was younger, and she was instructing us to like touch our bodies in some type of choreography, and we were kids, and of course, like, probably mostly raised Christian, so we were like doing it in a very innocent kid way, and she was just like, touch your body, it's yours, what are you doing? But like since that moment I've kind of like taken that with me throughout life, because like it is my body. Like so often I think we romanticize romantic love only when we can be giving that love to ourselves. Like you could be massaging your hands, massaging your shoulders, massaging your face. Like if you are touch deprived, crossing your arms in a V and holding your face as if someone else was holding your face and rocking is a really good motion to kind of nurture yourself. Especially if you have a lot of trapped, pent up emotions. Like you want to love on yourself a little bit. And I know once again, it's going to feel weird if you haven't done it before. So don't do it once or twice and be like, nah, the same for me, but you want a closer connection to your body. I think if I were being honest, and once again, who knows what the fuck I'm talking about, like having a connection to your body cannot be brought. It cannot be something that's like taken, ingested, so you can have a closer connection with your body. Yes, of course, obviously plant medicine may take you on a journey and make you feel more connected with your body, but that is a practice with you and yourself. And it is such an important practice. Also, like especially for, women. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Especially for people who have wombs. I think the womb holders were taught at such a young age. Like I keep thinking about all the movies I used to watch as a child about princesses and princes. And I'm like, why the hell do I need to be watching a movie about marriage as a child? And I'm literally being taught like, oh, the pretty princess is so lost until they get married to the prince. And oh, wow, now she does everything that the prince wants. I think it is so important to learn your body and be in tune with yourself, because we have been taught for far too long that we are just supposed to jump into any relationship and give until we don't know ourselves. And so often, I know I can't be the only one, we come out of relationships and we have absolutely no clue who we are, because things don't feel the same anymore because we just changed who we were for somebody else. And that's why... Also, that's just in general called self-abandonment. Something I had to learn about so many times. But self-abandonment is real. Like, but we are taught to do that, and we are very normalized. Like, oh yeah, did a woman just fall for a man who completely just didn't like her? No one's shunning the man. We are only shunning the women. How dare you believe that men actually really like you? How dare you believe that he was in love with you when he's told you he's in love with you? And this is just such a backward society. I think it goes back to victim blaming. I feel like society is so accustomed to blaming women for everything, and we don't really talk about it. And then when women talk about it, we're called bitches. And I'm sure it won't be the last time I'm called a bitch. So who cares? Other ways to release stored emotion: shaking. Something that I think is the most funniest thing in the world is how, we went from twerking being more of a like black girl dance, and then Miley Cyrus came out, and then all of a sudden it was just like a everyone dance. But still, it's just looked at as like inappropriate and just like derogatory to shake your ass. When, let me tell you, it makes the most sense to shake up your womb space. That doesn't need to be stagnant. You don't have to wait until you have sex to shake up your womb space. Please move your hips. Move them in a circle. Move them round and round, slow and fast. Shake up your womb. Release that shit. Bounce it around. You got womb issues? Put your hands on your womb and shake it. I can't express that enough. These are our bodies, okay? Don't let anybody else think it's your body. Like, we can say our body's our choice, but like, are you really like tapping into your body? Because it's magical. And if you just form a relationship with it, we'd be getting further in life, y'all. Also, for releasing stored emotions, for the more fiery people, I say martial arts. If you don't already know. Especially as a woman, like, I don't think martial arts is like that appealing. I do know how I came into martial arts. Let's be so fucking serious. Find men. Duh, I'm a Libra. Find men. I followed the find men. And I also wanted to beat people's ass as well. So, putting two and two together, I've found a love for capoeira, and I've found a love for Muay Thai, and I've found a love for martial arts in general. And I think once Pluto moves into Aquarius, I will probably be on another 20-year journey with actually being very serious about martial arts, because I think it's just wonderful and a wonderful way to get out anger. I'm just going to keep listing things because I understand that things I think are just normal to me, and I don't know what's normal to you. And I like so often I like YouTube things that are so simple, or like I would never think to make a YouTube video about it, but I'm so thankful for those YouTube videos. So I'm going to keep listing off the things I do. Yelling, especially if you got the tizzy. If you got some of the tizzy too. Yelling, vocal stimming. Yelling is something I've always done. When I was younger and my parents would leave the house, I would just scream half the time or sing really, really fucking loud. I do this with my son as well. I give us time to scream and dance and run it out and get it out because it's so necessary. Like, we have been brainwashed. And also, there was a point in time I went to a private school as well in the 90s. I was told to sit there with my fingers crossed, my knees together, sit down, stay still for 8 hours, blah, blah, blah. And then we're here now and we're wondering why there's so many illnesses when so far back in the day we were like movers and we were always on the go and gardening and picking and hunting and doing all these things. And now we wonder why, with all of this stationary ass lifestyle, we got so many sicknesses and illnesses. Move your body. You don't need permission to move your body. You don't need a yoga class permission to move your body. You don't need to wait until you find the right instructor to move your body. You could just move your body. I swear to you, your body is begging you, especially as a person who enjoys not moving. The universe always seems to bring me around some type of, I don't want to say fiery people, but just people with a different body awareness nature that wants to, like, that loves challenges, and they just want to move, and then they bring me around them, and then I just do it too, and then I'm like, oh, would you look at that? I feel great. I feel fucking great. But doing it on my own sometimes is a struggle as well. But yeah, there's so many free resources out there. We're in 2024, you all. Let's do this. Let's get healthy. Let's take our health into our own hands. Let's take our mental health into our own hands. There's so much information out there. If you're really just sitting around depressed, like, ain't nothing gonna get better, but you see people living a completely different experience than you, let's try something different. Also, if you're fancy, sweating is also great. Like a sweat lodge type thing, like sweating it out. One of my dearest friends has taken me with her to some of the finest of spas, and baby, sitting in that Steam room, I just always like to imagine myself back in the womb. And I just do different meditations just on myself. Like one of the meditations that actually worked so well is I was like envisioning my root chakra and just like feeling the heat and like just like imagining all of my ancestral scarcity and trauma just coming out of my root chakra and releasing it. And then by the time I stepped out of the steam room, like my root center was like, okay, I was about to say throbbing, but not like that. You know what I'm saying? But it was pulsating in a sense. Also, too, if you are a person that struggles with have a better relationship with their sexual nature and their sensual nature, as someone who, like, I really don't know human design, but I think I have a defined sacral or something. And sex is something, of course, that is so fucking taboo, especially if you grew up in a Christian home. You were taught that masturbation was bad. And if you had any other like harmful like interactions, you might not be comfortable with yourself. But let me tell you, as a person who's really released some trauma, there is a difference. There is a difference, and okay, we'll talk about that in another one. Also, too, shaking. Like, so I guess for people who are around people all the time, or maybe you're in a corporate environment and you get really stressed out and psyched out, go into a bathroom stall and just like shake your hands. Like, allow that fucking frustration and anxiety to express itself. Go walk really fast around the block. Like, you gotta get that out of you. We're so used to being in like a very triggered state or a fight or flight state, and just like having to sit there and act like you're comfortable. And I understand in so many situations that is necessary. But if you are indeed, in fact, trying to heal your nervous system, you gotta let these processes play out, or else they're just gonna get stuck and you're gonna wonder why you're feeling horrible. And we don't want to feel horrible anymore. It's 2024. One thing that I always have understood is that when there's a shit ton of darkness, there's a shit ton of light. So like, just imagine that, like, whatever darkness you see in the world right now is the same amount of bliss and joy and abundance in the world as well, which is why they keep bringing the evil nature to the forefront, so we can be like, oh no, this is it, this is everything that exists. But no, go outside and sit in the grass and the sun for a little while and just let it all out. That's another thing you could do. Earth. Pray to Earth. Form a relationship with Earth. Hey, Earth, you are Earth. Can I just lay on you for a second? Can I just surrender my burdens to you for a second? Or whoever, your angels, whoever. Also, feel free to make up your own practices. We're all so different. And I think, especially looking at my looking at my astrological chart, and I've just been studying it up, and just like, it's been so liberating, because I'm finding out all of these parts of myself that I tried to fight for so long are just innately a part of me, and I could just flow and go and live my life that way, and it will actually work out for me, instead of trying to live my life in a way that other people tell me to live. So I want to encourage you to create your own practices and try it. Like, for those people like me who have some more taboo sides to them, try it out, bruh. Try it out. Please stop letting people dictate what is proper and right and godly and holy, and try out your darkest of fantasies, as long as they're not hurting anybody. But that could be very healing for specific people, especially if you feel like you're one of those people where you have just like, you have a dark side, and if you want to act like kind of, I don't know, proper or more conservative, or if you need to, you kind of live a double life, and that shit drives me crazy. As someone who's like, throughout childhood, I've just known like, okay, like, I gotta act like a good girl here, but here I can kind of be myself, and here whatever. But if you have any dark twisted fantasies and you feel like that will help you relieve stress, I want to give you permission to try it out. Don't wait until you meet the people and the friends and just do it, because that's your healing, and that's where your body is calling you. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be tied, tie yourself up. Find somebody to tie you up. There's plenty of people out here tying people up. and giving people care. Let's free ourselves. We're in the age of pleasure. But let me tell you, they're going to convince you that we're in hell. Okay? It's up to you to choose.